And welcome back to Blue Shirts Buzz, where we talk everything New York Rangers. I'm your host, Matt Piscazzi, with my wonderful co-host, John Horton, who is back today. Say hi to John, everybody. We're glad he is back. Definitely check out our socials again, BlueBuzz26 on Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it these days. But yeah, like I said, and you guys see that John is back. You will hear that he's back if you're listening. Obviously, not all of you are watching on YouTube and everything like that. I'm looking at him on my screen, though, which is why I'm so excited. But yeah, happy to have him back. Got not so happy about what we're getting into today, of course. But before we get into pretty much the end of the year for this team and the unfortunate turn of events the last couple games, how you doing, John?
I'm doing much better. Happy to be back. Excited to be back. Besides, not really excited to dive into what we're diving into, of course, but
Yep.
that is what we do here on the show. I had some dental work, so not a lot of fun, but I am here. My mouth is moving again. Luckily for people who want to hear me, and unfortunate for people who do not.
I like
So
the way you put that. Oh, jeez. Wait, I mean, very well put, and yeah, I will just get right into it here. I mean,
Yep.
like I had kind of alluded to, that's it. I mean, it's pretty much it. It's pretty much over, guys. We're obviously gonna wait until the fat lady is singing to do
Mhm.
end of season awards and really go into kind of the talk of the whole season, how it went, all that kind of stuff. We will do wrap up episodes like that, at the end and give our opinions on kind of team MVP, most underperformed, comeback player, like all that kind of stuff. We'll roll into all that, but we do still have 5 games left. Technically, we can still make it,
If you can
but
call them
it's like
games.
it's like a yeah, I mean, it's like a 1% chance. For those of you that are not aware, at this point, we are 8 points below the Montreal Canadiens. They have 4 games left, so they could end at 95 points. Yeah, right.
And we have 79.
We have
So
79. Yeah, wait. So how are we not mathematically eliminated?
I actually have no
Oh
idea.
well,
They're
no,
they're
because
87 right
they
now.
lost. If they lost, that's what it is. It's very easy for them to mathematically eliminate us. Is actually what it is because we have 5 games left. We could hit a max point total of 89. They need 1 game to hit 89 points, and if I'm not mistaken, they get the tiebreaker on us. So, basically, 3 points for them, guaranteed spot. That's where the Senators are right now at 90 points, because we are tied on points with the Red Wings, the Islanders, and the Blue Jackets. So
Yeah, and the
all in the
Senators
same
have
position here.
clinched that wild card spot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
so
I mean. Like, so the Habs, they need 3 points, and we're out. I actually, even if they get 2, we might be out anyway because they might have the tiebreaker on us.
yeah.
But yeah, all that to say that it's pretty much over here. The 4-0 loss to the Devils, followed up by a 5-1 loss to the Lightning. Both games, very little effort, very little fight, very little motivation. Guys hanging their heads, guys out to lunch. That Lightning game in particular, they scored 3 goals in the span of what, like a minute and 45 seconds or something crazy like that.
Yep.
3 power play goals. Our power play, absolutely dead, zero, nilch, non-existent. Um,
Non-existent, and then
really
Laugh get
highlighted.
ejected for a 10-minute
Oh, the game misconduct, which is
game
just a joke.
misconduct. Absolute joke.
Skating past the ref, just whispering some sweet nothings in his ear.
Yeah,
Gets in trouble
he has
there,
not
and
scored a goal
just
since January. By the way, for anybody who's wondering, just to let
absolute
you know.
just bleep storm to try and avoid saying that word in my
I
depressive state
wish.
here.
I wish
Yeah.
maybe as the timer goes on, we get later, we can use it. But yeah, early on before sponsors, probably not a good idea.
But yeah, I mean it's kind of where we're at now. So again, with our little standings run down there, we're pretty much out of it. I mean, 1% chance, but it's really not. The Canadians have to do very little to knock us out, and we would have to literally win out, which we're not doing. I mean, let's be
No,
real
we have
here.
to
We're
play the
recording
Panthers
Wednesday
and the
night.
Lightning too.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
mean, we're
way.
recording here Wednesday night. We have a game tonight against the Flyers. We have a game tomorrow against the Islanders, and then what you had
That
alluded
Jonathan
to,
Quick's playing. Yeah.
we do have, yeah, that's a weird one too.
Yep.
This weekend we do have the Canes. Next week we have the Panthers and the Lightning. I mean, I don't.
Oh
What
my
do we? I don't
god.
even care. What are we going to get? 2 wins out of
Oh
the
my
last 5 of
god.
the season.
No.
I mean,
We
I
might
know this
actually
is,
lose every game.
and this is a really tough way to end the year. Like even when if we were playing the way we're supposed to be playing and everything, firing all cylinders, like that's still a tough way to end the year. I mean, our last 3 games, you go at Carolina, at Florida, home against Tampa.
Yeah.
That's a
And
really hard way
I
to end
will
the
be
year
watching the
anyway.
Tampa just for Sam, because that will be the last.
Mhm.
That will be
Well, I
the
mean, I'm gonna
last
watch
Sam.
as many as I can because
Oh, I'm
we
done.
only have a few games left here.
I'm
But
done. Yeah, I'm not watching any more games. They don't want to play hockey. They don't want to put a product on the ice that we can be proud of like last year. So I'm not going to watch anymore except the last game for Sam, and probably have little tear come down my
yeah,
face. It's a shame that they sent him off like that. But he's had an amazing career. So I mean, I'm sure he's
Yeah, I
I'm sure
think
he's
it
doing
puts
fine.
it is like a recency bias. Like it definitely puts a sour taste in the mouth. Just like this being how he goes out in terms of like our performance on the ice.
Yeah.
But the league and the other teams in the league and even the Rangers. Although we've talked about it, I think the Rangers could have done a little bit more, particularly on Sam Rosen Day a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
But I really like how all these teams honored him. In the last game that he played in all of these away arenas, pretty much every team. They gave him a jersey signed by everybody,
Yep.
some kind of gift for him with it as well for a lot of these guys. I know that when we were in Anaheim recently, Jacob Trouba actually gave him a painting that he made for him. The Ducks themselves gave him a couple bottles of wine that were his art's interesting, but it meant a lot to Sam. I mean, it meant a lot to Sam. Trouba was a guy
No,
that
that
was
was good. That was
as
good.
bad
I
as
agree.
he was at points on the ice. He meant a lot in terms of like he was a good guy. He meant a lot to the franchise. He meant a lot to Sam. So
no, I agree. I love the arts, but I do not like Trouba, and his art is it's interesting. Hey, it's all subjective for a good reason. But
yeah, I mean, I
in my
gotta give him props
subjective
though.
opinion,
He
I don't
sells
like
it though
it.
for like charity and stuff, which is nice. Like he does
Yeah.
a lot with it. So I do have to give him some props. Like as much as I dislike what he gave us on the ice, I do think he's a pretty good guy off the ice.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and you do gotta give him some props there. But yeah, just the way we're sending Sam off is sad. I mean, we've talked a lot about how the players had kind of given up. We've seen a lot of different players who weren't really putting in their effort and giving up and all that kind of stuff. And now at this point, even Lav has kind of given up. To allude to the kind of the media stuff after the Tampa game, where he it was kind of his attitude and his delivery. The coaches don't always go. Actually, typically don't even go in the locker room after games. A lot of times they don't. It's not really something that happens all the time. They usually do when it's needed, like when the team is either you go in there to congratulate the team. We just had a huge win. This guy hit a huge milestone, or like, hey, we just clinched the playoffs, something like that. Or it's like we suck. We need to fix stuff. After that loss to the Lightning, when it's that's pretty much. That was almost like the nail in the coffin. I really think it was the Devils game for me, but that game in particular, like statistically, numbers, everything, like optics, that was kind of the nail in the coffin.
That
And
Ducks game
also,
was bad.
well, that one hurt.
That was bad.
And also just like the way we lost that game, that's a game where maybe you think he would have went in the locker room and said something, talked to the guys, had anything to kind of say. He didn't, and he made it very, clear when the media talked to him. But it was also just his like delivery when he said that. He was just very dejected, and it was clear to me, and I think to a lot of people that at this point he's kind of given up on the team as well. I think it's hard to like blame him for doing that at this point. If everyone else gave up on you, we have a few games here. We're just kind of coasting. It's really sad to see, especially from like a professional organization, from guys that are making millions of dollars. Like you're still expected to go out there and perform. Like I don't give a crap how bad it looks in the standings. Look at teams that are perennial losers, and those guys still show up every night and compete. So the least you could do is like put your jersey on, hold your head up high, and go out there with a bang. Show some kind of fight. I mean, I don't understand again, and I've made this point, how these are incredibly competitive people. That's part of how they've made it this far in their athletic career. Where's that passion? Where's that fight? Where's their energy? I mean, I feel like I get super compassionate playing like a board game. Like if I were out there, even if I'm losing, just to be playing a sport in that environment, obviously I don't know what that's like, but I would imagine that I would want to show up every single game and play my heart out and do everything possible. Right. I mean, like just logically speaking, but we're not seeing that. And yeah, for me, the lab stuff, some of the media stuff, I think it's pretty clear he's not going to be here next year. One of the pieces that's not going to be here, in addition to probably some other veterans and things, which obviously we'll talk about when we do our season wrap up kind of stuff. But yeah, that kind of put the nail in the coffin for me with Lav too. I really thought we would maybe give him another year. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Let's see what can happen. Maybe get some of these guys out of here. See if
we did
some new guys respond to his system, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, for me, that was kind of like, I guess, if you're going to be like hands off, that's it, we're done, I'm giving up. Well, then give up and get out of here. You're kind of a loser. I'm curious what you thought about that. And I mean, I know that you already were a little less on the Lav bandwagon to begin with, but I have a feeling that kind of had you feeling a certain way as well. Because if that bothered me, I know it bothered you.
Yeah, it did. I remember when I saw the quote, I kind of just did one of those, like those, like chuckles, like, can you believe this kind of thing? Like one of those, like, okay, cool. Like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. These players are in a position where they are now because of their own actions, and I hope they know that. I'm sure they know that. I don't think they're stupid. This team, if you could call it that, because it's not. I think it's a trickle down effect issue. Again, I still put the blame on Chris Drury for blowing up the roster in a really bad time, and they you've probably heard the term before, whether you love it or hate it, but it is true. It's like silent quitting, like once
Mhm.
Drury kind of started trading people and, you know, a lot of vocal opinions on Jacob Trouba as a player. It seems that as a captain, he really did have the pulse of that locker room,
Yeah.
and you can't really take that away from him. And once he was moved the way he was moved, it seems a lot of these players just didn't really want to keep playing for this organization. They've made that very, very clear.
Mhm.
And maybe at first it wasn't Laviolette's fault. Like maybe he pushed them hard in the practice. We don't always have the full scope of practices, but like it seems like he's given up too. And we did get some scope into some practices, and they seem very lackluster, very just unpressured, just kind of
And
like
there's always
whatever.
guys that are in because the guys that are scratches typically skate extra laps and
Yep.
they sometimes wear a
Yep.
different jersey and stuff. And that's most of what we cared about at practice this year because we saw Lav make some honestly some head scratching decisions at points about who's scratching, who's playing minutes where, and everything in the lineup, which we'll get into a guy here that's
A
getting scratched in
specific
a little
one.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just
It's just the lack of
it's ridiculous.
accountability. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no the Rangers for a long time, and it's been like almost every coach. So I'm starting to think it's maybe a front office issue. You know, long story short, this organization needs a culture change. For the longest time,
Mhm.
unfortunately, probably even in the 90s, like this organization has been a resort for veterans. Like we're not going to really train young guys. We're not really going to develop them. It's like this is MSG. This is the big New York market. We're going to get this super old superstar who's kind of past his prime to come sign here for 4 years and play some mediocre games and this and that.
Mhm.
And there's just this weird lack of accountability for veterans. Before we were talking about some stuff before we started recording, and you mentioned like the scope of media coverage, like if they scratch a player who's making a ton of money, this and that. But I think we have to get to a culture where like that doesn't matter. Like if you have a veteran who's making 10 million a year and they're sucking and they're not playing well and they're not holding themselves accountable, you need to let your coach like bench that player. You need to let your coach hold them accountable and light a fire under them. You can't, and this is just speculation because this is like four coaches in a row now where this has happened where like a young
Mhm.
guy gets punished a hell of a lot faster than a veteran, which I think in
Yeah.
most fields is kind of typical, but still, like this is sports here. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty odd. Like you had Mika playing some of the worst hockey of his career, like for 30 games this season, and the only punishment he got was like no power play one time for maybe like 5 games. And then you have other like young guys who made one bad pass out of the 6 games they played. It's like, all right, that's it. You're getting 5 minutes on the fourth line for the next 10 games,
Yeah,
and we're
and
gonna
then
scratch
with
you.
some of the fourth line
And
players too, it's like why are you even fielding them on this roster
exactly.
if you
Yeah.
only intend to play them 5 or 6 nights a minute? It just doesn't really scream, "Hey, we're trying to develop our own talent here," like you were alluding
Right.
to. And
Right.
obviously a lot of stuff to unpack there. Before we get into some of that,
Oh
though,
yeah.
if you can give us a word from our lovely sponsor, DraftKings.
Yes. If I can find where I put it. Oh my god. I thought I had the. Oh, here it is.
I'm saying
All
I never
right,
heard of it before.
DraftKings. Yeah, this NHL. Okay, DraftKings. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. Not for us. And games left for you in the get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly by picking up your phone, going to the App Store, downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
My little
Yeah, so
crown
I
jewel.
have nice crown. So part of the issue too with the Rangers this season, I have some stats here from defensive metrics. I pointed out that like I noticed what Drury was doing with a lot of the trades and a lot of the movement, trying to like
Mhm.
bolster the defense. It clearly hasn't really worked that well. I mean, we have some bright spots. Will Borgen, Vakaheinen
That
has
yeah.
been getting kind of worse as the season is going on. I know he's young,
Yeah.
but he's really been killing me. Sorcy, bad. He's bad.
Susie, yeah, he wasn't
Susie,
the
Sorcy,
best.
or like he's bad. So these men, I got some stats here. So this has done Igor no favors, but Igor himself has also, um, you know, had some issues. But here's his workload.
Mhm.
He has played 57 games as I read these stats, which is fourth in the NHL. He's faced 1,630 shots, which is the first in the NHL. He has a 186.07 goals allowed first, like a percentage.
Mhm.
He has faced 467 high danger shots first. He has faced 469 mid danger shots first. And he has a .892 expected save percentage. So that right there, and those come from the NHL Edge.
And when you say first, just
Website.
for clear for our listeners, you mean he has faced the most, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. That because I yeah,
Yeah.
just to highlight how bad our
Just
defense
to
was, how
highlight,
many shots were. Also, there's a
yeah,
stat
how
that
bad the defense
I
is.
don't even really know how they would track. I don't even know if it would come up, but I did see. Actually, you had sent it to me, I think, and it was one of these advanced metrics. But the explanation was basically that Igor was the worst goalie this year in the league in terms of saves expected and like performance when the game is tied.
Oh
Like
yeah, that was
meaning,
Steve Alcat.
yeah, because
Yeah.
he went into like advanced metrics, which is like really it was hard to explain like when you're looking at the number, but
Yeah.
he explained it
Yeah.
really nice in the tweet there. Yeah, which is another one of stats there that we
It's
did not
bad.
do him any favors, but he also wasn't necessarily doing himself any favors,
Yes.
which is something that we have been overly reliant on goaltending for. I mean, look at the Hank era, and we went right into Hank. We rolled right into Igor. We should count our lucky stars that we rolled from one
I know.
Vezina winner to another. Obviously, this year was not a great year for him, but
I mean, I'm glad
did
Igor's
anybody
here.
on this team have a great year though? Like,
Not horrible. There was like
yeah.
somebody did a good graph too. They did like a points differential from each player from last year to this year this time, and it's like
Oh god, it's probably
30
absolutely atrocious.
plus 30 plus like less for
Mhm.
everybody. I'm glad Igor's here. He's a great player for a reason. Contract, it is what it is. But with that contract, do you expect him to pick it up at those times? That's why he's getting paid that much. And
There were
I'm
times where he
still
did though. Like I don't want to. Yeah, I
no,
want
there
to.
is, yeah.
I still trust
I
him. I mean, the fact that
I
we were
do
even having a
too.
conversation about the fact that if we made the playoffs, we could make a run was simply based on him being our goalie.
No, I know.
So
I
you
just
got to
think
imagine that he's going to play up to par next.
I
At some point.
I mean, I would hope so. We'll see. I'm hopeful, but I don't know. You're only getting older, unless you're Hank.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to lose my hope on just based on this year. Like, I think we do need to take some of the recency bias out of the equation when we consider like what this franchise needs to do moving forward. Like,
Yeah.
objectively, there are still moves that need to be made and a lot of things that need to happen. But as New York fans, with all of the pressure that and you had alluded to earlier, with all of the pressure that's on this team, the media pressure, the pressure from the ownership, the pressure from the front office, just the pressure from the fans, because we're in New York, of course, this happens to every team in New York, except the Sabres. They don't really count. But it's just that pressure kind of forces us to have to be winners. I think that's also a large part of why we have all these veterans. We're always flooded with these veterans because we're not allowed that time for these young guys to develop. And that's actually, we've seen numerous times where we've traded that young guy and they've went and succeeded and done really well elsewhere. One of the worst decisions, I mean, the Buchnevich trade has always been a point of contention for this fan group.
Horrible.
But the Buchnevich trade, look at the JT Miller situation. It was a little confounded because some of the locker room stuff, but he goes to the Lightning, ends up having that's kind of where he peaked, had some really good years there, goes to the Canucks, had amazing stats. But you know what I mean? Like, you see this happen years and years and years and years and years, and it gets to a certain point where you had alluded to, we need a culture shift, but that is confounded by all the pressure and the issues with New York and the media and everything. So it's very unlikely that we're ever going to see this team able to really change the way that we approach, roster building and decisions that are made in the front office from year to year. And it's unfortunate, but we do have to kind of take that into consideration when we're considering this year versus moving forward.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? Just some of the recency bias. We do have to be careful because, this year was awful, but they also won the President's Trophy last year, and we're in the Eastern Conference Finals. So the story cannot be, for me at least, get rid of everybody on this roster. Get rid of. I do think we need to get rid of Lav. I want to be clear, but it cannot be. Get rid of this guy, that guy, front of it, fire this guy, burn it all down, reset. Because first of all, it's never going to happen. We're in New York. But second of all, you do too much, and we're going to put ourselves in a worse position, and also send a straight up giant red flag to anybody that would be even thinking about coming to this organization that says these people are crazy and they don't know what they're doing because they had one bad year and that was enough to change the whole entire organizational structure. I mean, this is not the Jets This is not the Sabres. This is not a team that has went 10 plus 15 years without making the playoffs. This is a team that is a perennial playoff contender, and contender in the fact that they've been to the top. So we need to consider that, moving forward, and just try not to let this 1 year dictate everything that happens moving forward. But this offseason's going to be interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, no, these would be some serious conversations. No, I agree too. And moving forward, we have Igor, and I think it's great. But like the way I look at it with like I would much rather invest in the defense than the goaltender. Kind of like in football, I'd rather invest in the run game than the running back. I just think like because also defense can score in the NHL. So if you invest and have like a stellar defense wins championships, and then you have like a good to average goaltender, like you're looking pretty good. I mean, don't do what the Oilers did and paid $9 million to one defender who's not that great, and then have like
Well,
$3
there's also
million
the argument to be
defenders
made
around it.
though about how much the impact that the goalie has in the playoffs. I mean, look at what Bob did to us.
Yeah,
In some of
Bob
those games
destroyed
against the
us.
Panthers, when we played we played some good minutes. I mean, obviously the Panthers typically boss us at 5v5, but there were games, particularly last year against them, where we kind of had the pulse on the game. It was ebbs and flows, times where we had that momentum, had those shots, had those extra opportunities, and Bob straight up iced us. I mean, Igor was kind of doing what he could do to mitigate some of that damage, but obviously the Panthers were getting more pressure on us. But I understand your argument, but I also counter it with that point in the fact that like we literally saw it last year. We saw what Igor's done for us, where especially like I think back to a couple years ago, the series against the Penguins. I don't think we win that series if Igor doesn't play the way he plays in that series.
True.
And he was getting John the whole freaking series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't win that. We don't win that series if Igor's not making the saves he's making. You go
Yeah.
back to some of those game sevens we won years and years ago. We don't win those game sevens if Hank doesn't make 30 or 40 saves. So there is a point to be made as well about just building having the roster built in a particular fashion to have the support pieces where you need them, have enough guys on D, veterans, young guys, offensive, defensive ones versus, the two-way defenders, the bigger guys that are going to sit back and hold you down. I mean, the forwards have to play defense as well, the back checking, winning faceoffs, all those things have to really come together. And again, we didn't really see any of those things come together for this team at all this year.
No. Yeah. And I think, this offseason is going to be tough. There needs to be not like burn it down, start over, but there needs to be some hard conversations.
Yeah. Definitely
Chris
some changes need to
Kreider,
be made.
unfortunately, which we'll get into, he'll probably be gone. Trocheck's fine. Miller's probably here. Mika, I hope they do something about Mika. I don't think it's possible, but I hope. I'm so tired of Mika. But the biggest thing that for me that sucks and like fuels the anger, and I think a lot of the Ranger fans too, is like the last 3 years, this has been one of my favorite like Ranger teams, and they went from being one of my favorite teams to like my least favorite teams in the blink of an eye. Like they took my love for this organization and like put it to the test. They took my love for this core and like what they did with comeback wins the year before and like the leadership that they showed and made me question like, was that ever there? And they've always had an issue with like laziness. It's just whatever this roster is, it just like it's pretty obvious. I mean, like you watch any of the games, even last year, like with the President's Trophy or like the year before the playoffs, like there was like now you see it more so, but there were like games with like concerning efforts. And the biggest issue this team has had, and it could be just NHL in general, but like they cannot play 60 minutes of hockey. They can only play 40, and either they play the last 40 or the first 40, and that costs us games. And I don't know if it's conditioning, I don't know if it's leadership, I don't know what it is, but it's something that needs to shift, and I think Drury has a responsibility to fix the mistakes he's made. Hopefully, he learned his lesson. I'm sure he'll definitely keep his job after this season, but I think he needs to like realize not to, fucking do that ever again and just nuke the leadership of this locker room in November.
Yeah,
like that didn't make any sense. Like the time to do it was the off season. You couldn't do it. Wait to the trade deadline. Like do a rental or something. Don't do that. Like that was stupid. So I think culture shift, and because we're still seeing the same issues, which we'll get into now, like the issue with this team being like a veteran friendly young guy development team, like, graveyard, is we have Gabe Perreault come up. We burn a year of his ELC. Gabe Pro's like, hey, I'm so excited. Like my coaches and the scouts think like my brain's ready for the NHL.
And he
Like,
actually looked pretty good.
and he looked pretty good. Like no points, of course, which is whatever, but like he looked good like on the ice visually. And he played 3 games. 2 of them he got top 6 minutes. The third game, Lav is like, okay, bottom 6, and now he's scratched. And who knows? Maybe he'll scratch for the rest of the season. Who knows? And that's the most mind-boggling thing ever. Like we are out of the playoffs. Like there's like no way. Why
Play
are
the
you
kid like
scratching
18
him?
minutes a game. Honestly, put him on the
Yeah.
top line, play him 18 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game, give him power play time. Like, what
Play him
is
60
even the
minutes. Play him the whole
point?
time. Don't take him off the ice.
And this is another thing here where it just kind of sends the message to me that like Lab's just packed it in, done and dusted, hands off the situation. Because that's a clear that's a clear miss right there. You can play him and Berard in the same game. I'm sorry, I understand that Berard's back up here now and he's going to get bottom 6 minutes, and he's actually looked pretty good for what you're expecting to get from him as well.
Right.
But like him, Othman, Perreault, the 3 of them should play constantly. Zach Jones should be playing he should be playing middle pair minutes, 16, 17 minutes, 18, 20 minutes. Like what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? Especially consider some of these guys that like aren't going to be here, some of these veterans that have been hurt. Scratch Kreider the rest of the year. If his back is bothering him and he's old and slow and he's hurting and he needs the recovery time anyway, either play him 8 minutes, a night on the 4th or the 3rd line, or scratch him. But again, we're not going to see that happen because of the optics, and then it makes these guys feel bad, and then they drop their head. Ooh. But this whole scratching Perreault thing is an absolute joke. It makes us just look straight up silly. And I don't understand the point of you bring him up and you make the point that, he can help us make a push. So what? As soon as we're not making the playoff push anymore, you don't want to play him?
Which makes no sense.
Why have him just
be
relegated to just being scratched every single night?
He didn't score any points in that playoff.
Yeah. And what did he do that, what huge mistakes was he making, or what issues did you have with his game? You could look at 5, 6, 7 other guys on this roster, probably maybe even a couple more that made more mistakes and performed worse than he did in the past 2-3 games. They're not getting scratched. They're not getting relegated to the
exactly, and that's what's confusing, because Lav was asked by the media, and he was like, "Well, like why he scratched him," and he's like, "Well, we sat down with him, me and the coaches, and we showed him video, and we're like, hey, we like some of this, but we also don't like some of that. We played.
Give him an opportunity to show you more of what he likes,
right? Like, they're like, oh, we played you a few games, so then we're gonna rest you, and then we'll put you back in. Like, we don't want to. Like, what are we doing?
It better be a rest. This better be we're resting him tonight because maybe they think if he gets a game to sit, maybe if he gets a day or two to like sit, think about the conversation they had, look at some film. Like, I get that. Okay, if that's the plan, then that needs to be the plan. That needs to be what happens. He needs to play the last four games then. Because if he is scratched this game, plays a game scratch, plays a game scratched, or if he's just scratched the rest of the year, then why bring him up? Why sign him to contract? Why burn a year on his ELC? Why even bother doing any of this? If as soon as we are out of the playoffs, when it would be prime opportunity for him to play, you're not going to play him. Like, it's just straight up silly.
And then,
but I mean,
he'll have a whole off season hopefully to train with the team. Whatever,
and he has like enough games here and enough like experience to know what to work on and who to kind of build chemistry with, and how he did and what he can change and what he can do better. And then boom, next year hit the ground running.
My biggest concern is that Lav doesn't get fired. He's here, and then like sometime October he gets fired. And then he brings some coach in. You see that all the time in the NHL. It's so exhausting.
I hope Drury learns from his mistake last year, though. And obviously it's confounded by the fact that he wasn't really able to get to dump Trouba. I get that a team needs to be willing to take him. We can't fully blame him for not getting rid of Trouba before the season because obviously other things in play. But that's a similar situation where we were making decisions in October and November and December, and then even, throwing the flag up on, Kreider could be out of here. It's saying all those things, doing all those things. It's like we were playing catch up. So if that's going to be the thing, if we're going to give him 10 games and say, this team's underperforming, fire him, why didn't you just get rid of him in the offseason when that's the time where other teams are also getting rid of coaches that's prime, hey, this guy's available, this guy's available, this guy's available. Like, Drury, if you wait till the year, you give him 10 games and you fire him, the pool of potential coaches, significantly less. And, by the way, we don't have the leverage. What leverage do we have?
Yeah.
There's not and what coach is necessarily going to want to come and be a part of this organization and honestly, so pardon my French, but the shitstorm that's going on at that point, it's just too much. And I mean, I'll use that as a segue into the storm of games we have remaining here. We can still predict. I mean, at least I have a little bit of something to fight here
True.
fight for here. This is
You couldn't
more
clean me
exciting than
out.
the rest. This is more exciting than the rest
Yeah.
of the year. Those of you that don't know, John is beating me in the first time score predictions here for the year. He has predicted the first time score correctly 4 times. I've only done it twice. This
Out
is
of
much more difficult than it
almost
sounds.
82 games is crazy how low it is.
I know.
for-
And we started doing this. Didn't I look back and what was it?
Oh,
Was
40
it,
games. 40 games. Yeah, something like that.
yeah, we counted, right? It was something like that, 40 or 50. By now it's probably 50. But yeah, I mean, first game we got here, game tonight against the Flyers. I think Panarin scoring first. I feel really confidently about this one.
Okay.
Who do you think scoring first tonight?
JT Miller.
I like it. Yeah, he's slowed down a little bit. I mean, he's still played, like,
Yeah.
he's still putting up the points. He's very noticeable on the ice, but like haven't really had to talk about him at all. And I wish we could. I wish he was doing a little bit more fun stuff for us to talk about. But this team sucks. This team
But
sucks.
they all
There's
stopped
nothing to
playing
talk about
hockey.
anyway. Yeah. Who do you think scoring first in the Isles game?
Oh man. Will Cooley.
I like it. Only very deserving. Like just play. Like he's the only guy on this ice that's. I mean, really, when we talk about like end of the season awards, I mean, who else?
Because he needs a contract.
We'll get into all that. Give me Foxy. I feel like he usually plays well against the Isles. And then I think Kreids is going to score first in the Canes game. He has a penchant for scoring against the Canes.
Yeah, I'll do. I'll do Vincent Trocheck for that.
Okay. Yeah. And then against the Panthers, and I'll save the last game against the Lightning because we'll probably record Wednesday or Thursday that week. So, but who do you think scoring first in the Panthers game?
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Fox.
Okay. I am going JT Miller on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, gritty game. It's going to be a 5-on-5 battle. Hopefully we are part of the battle and we're not just beaten to the ground. But yeah, I know. I got to try and stay a little positive here, but
I appreciate it.
It's hard. Sorry, as I'm stretching here. I think we kind of hit everything we want to talk about here. And again, sorry that this is all the stuff we have to talk about for you guys. I know it's not as fun and fresh, but what is this team giving us to talk about elsewhere, right? And I mean, it's really, really not giving us much fun stuff to talk about. I mean, if we could at least get a couple wins to end the year here, we can go out on some type of a high note. Be marginally excited about this team looking like they care. I mean, that's all I want. Just look like you care. I don't want to, if we're just skating through the motions and just kind of going through it and just waiting for it all to be over, then play Perreault 20 minutes a night, play Zach Jones 20 minutes a night, play Othman 20 minutes a night, play Berard. Then what are we doing with these veterans and all this crap? I mean, we'll see. Obviously, that sounds nice, but it's not going to happen. And it's just going to give us more to talk about, honestly, at least things to talk about, not fun. But yeah, I don't know, man. Do you got anything else before we roll out of this one?
Get ready for next season. We hope that the off season goes well. We hope that Drew learned from his mistakes. It's so cloudy right now. It's like looking up at the sky in England. There's not really much you can really see or kind of decipher. So, we got some good. Yeah, we got some good pieces in place, but they also don't seem like they want to play hockey. So we'll see. I mean, a culture shift is needed, and we need to get back to winning, and we need to absolutely 100% abolish, dismantle, and destroy that stupid no quit in New York for slogan. Get rid of that, please. Even when it first was created, was the corniest, dumbest thing I've ever heard. Get rid of that. So burn all those flags. If you want to burn any flag, burn that one. And I'm not going to say, if you're hopeful as a fan, this team has given you nothing to watch. So I don't blame you for not watching. Appreciate if you're still listening. Absolutely love that. And we appreciate if you come back to listening when the team's better. We understand it's not as fun listening to the podcast when it's just complaining and analyzing bad stats, because I mean that's all we have to go off of, unfortunately. So I understand it, but appreciate those who stick around and those that come back. Always welcome. So,
yeah, well put. just to kind of reiterate some of that, yeah, I mean, we do appreciate all the love and support here. I mean, it's tough at times, obviously, but we're still here. We're still going to be chatting. We're still chit chatting here. We'll go through it all, good, bad, and the ugly. We do still love this team and want them to be successful. So, of course, we will have a lot to talk about this offseason. So, at least they gave us that. They gave us topics to talk about in the offseason. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Of course, few games left in the year here. Roll us out of this and get us into an off season that needs to be serious, and we need to see some calculated moves, some guys out, some pieces moved, and we'll get into all that fun stuff. That will be hopefully a little more entertaining, a little better. Again, like John said, we appreciate everyone that's sticking through it. Whether you kind of are here sometimes and then you come back in and out, all whatever it is, we appreciate any love and support you guys want to show us in the show. So yeah, check out Twitter there, BlueGhost26. Stay tuned. We will have another one next week, and then after that, we'll have our end of the season stuff, wrap up all that kind of stuff, and we'll roll right into the off season and keep getting you guys coverage and hopefully have some good stuff to talk about for you guys. So thank you all for this one. Thank you all for all the love and support again, and we will catch you on the next one.